World Cup Day 15, Colombia secure Group HThe. Final day of group stage action saw Colombia and Japan advance in Group H, with Colombia's match against Senegal as the focus match. Elsewhere in Group G, Belgium and England scrapped over second place with heavily rotated teams. Senegal 0-1 ColombiaColombia edged through as leaders of the tight Group H, where no team stood out from the crowd. All was to play for as Poland's victory against Japan opened the door for Senegal to qualify, needing just 1 point from the final game. And had Mina not got the better of his marker on the corner, they would have done in what was a good performance by the African side. Senegal's in-behind focus with the pace of Mané, Niang and Keita. Senegal often tried to play in behind Colombia's defensive line, both in sustained possession and in transition. The front four were often very wide, with the ball far winger staying close to the touchline, presumably to stretch Colombia's defensive line and increase space for runs into channels. In transition, the two forwards' immediate trigger was to attack the space on the side of each center-back, in what was an obvious strategy. During possession through Senegal's right side, the left-back would occupy very high positions alongside the already wide Balde Keita, as they looked to play along diagonals. The defensive orientation of Cuadrado, who stayed deep and disconnected from his midfield, seemed to suggest that this was expected by Colombia as the winger focused on Sabali. Because of Senegal's predictability, Colombia could anticipate the pass comfortably. The defensive line were quick to drop because there was minimal danger of a forward coming short to receive between the lines, and Colombia's center-backs were rarely stretched vertically. In that sense, more diverse movements of Senegal's front four could have aided their efforts. Senegal's midfield press. The most notable element of the game was the contest between Senegal's midfield press and Colombia's efforts to play through it. Senegal defended in a 4-4-2, where the two strikers were focused on covering passing lanes into central positions and tried to shepherd their opponent to play towards their full-backs. Upon this trigger, the wingers would step up aggressively and look to create duels with the sixes in a good, ball-oriented position to cover. The aggressiveness of Senegal in wide areas often forced turnovers from their South American opponents, with the pressure often forcing the fullback into a poor decision. If Colombia wanted to try and play through the pressure, which I assume they did, then their six should have been more active in offering to receive a pass into midfield. Although he was covered well in central areas by the two nines, he rarely shifted into the half spaces to provide an extra passing option for the full-back, who was often just left with the ball near 8 and the wingers' possibilities to play forwards, both of whom were covered by Senegal's ball near 6 and full-back respectively. At the very least, it would have given Senegal's ball near 9 the dilemma of whether to drop to cover the 6, or to stay high and cut off the backwards pass to the center-back. The degree of an opposing team's pressure is relative to the amount of passing options the ball carrier, and then the subsequent ball carriers, has. By creating more options, you increase the amount of accessible space and in turn reduce the opponent's access to press you. By providing the fullbacks with just 2 weak options to pass to, Colombia made it far too easy for Senegal to apply pressure. Credit to the defending team though. They intelligently stepped up with good timing, just as the pass is made, while their sixes occupied ball-oriented positions to block inside passes. Colombia became more direct as the game progressed, and after Muriel replaced James, Colombia began to play more direct as their efforts to play through Senegal's midfield press were failing. Muriel, playing higher and more central than James, would look to use his pace with in-behind runs, while Cuadrado became less focused on receiving defeat, and would also attack the space behind Senegal's defensive line. A common pattern was switches from left to right made by Uribe, who dropped towards the center-backs, to Cuadrado, who stayed wide. Though this wasn't particularly successful due to the distance, difficulty of the pass, while Sabali was quick to press Cuadrado on receiving the ball. The strategic change was a pragmatic choice, and one that benefited the South Americans defensively more than offensively. It reduced the risk of their opponent transitioning from the halfway line, although they still had some dangerous moments when counter-attacking from deep, and they avoided the duels which Senegal created so well in the first half. If they were to lose the ball when playing direct, then they had more numbers between the ball and their goal, and could generally counter-press with stability. Conclusion: with the loss, Senegal missed out on qualification to the knockout rounds on fair play, while Colombia face England. The African side can feel harshly done by, after a performance deserving of a draw in a narrowly contested game. Southgate may be encouraged by Colombia's poor display in possession, and it will be interesting to see if the side maintain their more direct adjustment going forwards in the competition. Article von TP at Tom Payne Football.